I have been a bald gentleman on and off for about 8 years now. I cut my hair back in 2018. I used to have long dreads. And then I tried to just keep a fade and wear it low all the time. I'm telling you this because you always hear people say things like,
I'm so sick of my hair. I wish I could just cut it off and not deal with it.
let me tell you a story. This morning I was shaving my head and I cut the shit out of my head. Like there was a lot of blood. I was leaking. Now you may think to yourself, oh man, that sucks. But it's just one day, you just go about your day. No, because here's the problem. This is a high maintenance hairdo. I have to do this every other day. Otherwise, I'll get the cul-de-sac and just be out here looking floppy. And I can't have that. Out here looking like people don't love me. Can't have that. So to anyone who is debating on just cutting all their hair off because it's easier, please reconsider your decision. Because I promise you, if you want to keep up with it, it is the most high maintenance hairstyle I have ever had. Slating. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Major in Metal, where we talk about guitars, metal, and things of that nature. This week, we're going to be looking at some Avenged Sevenfold, man. I remember these cats got so much flack when they first blew up, really blew up. I'm not talking, with the Waking the Fallen album. I'm talking once City of Evil hit, and then once the Untitled album hit. They caught a lot of flack because just people hated the metalcore scene and the emo adjacent thing. They really weren't an emo band, but I mean, you look at pictures from them back in the day, it's like, yeah, okay, those guys could run with some of the emo cats. But one thing that's always shined through is Synyster Gates' guitar playing. This dude is phenomenal. Like, I don't think I'm not saying anything that people don't agree with. Like, everyone's like, yeah, Synyster Gates he will go down as one of the greatest guitar players of all time. No doubt about it. But, the early stuff, people, they really kind of wrote him off then. Not only that, but now there's a new subgenre I've heard called coworker metal, which I guess is pretty much metal bands that you would hear on the radio. So like Breaking Benjamin, Chevelle, Avenged Sevenfold falls into that category. And that one kind of hurt because I am a fan of this band. Either way, man, this week we're going to be looking at Nightmare off the 2010 album Nightmare. This is the album that they released after their drummer Jimmy the Rev Sullivan was found dead after, I believe it was an overdose, but someone correct me. So they hired, of all fucking people, Mike Portnoy to do the album, which is like, yeah, of course, yeah, just hire, one of the greatest drummers of all time. No big deal. I'm sure the album will come out fine, but he did a great job on the album. I think this album in particular showed a lot of growth from some of their earlier stuff. Some of it did calm down a bit more and go towards a more radio-friendly sound. One thing that remains, as stated previously, was Synyster Gates' lead abilities and his approach to writing. For this one, we're really just going to be looking at the solos and the leads. Sorry to say, this one wasn't really a game changer in the grand scheme of things, but it is a really well-written song, and In Shadows has a great performance, especially at the very end. Too bad we're not going to really talk about that. Either way, man, we'll throw the headphones on, get in the DAW, and see what we can make happen. All right, so now we're in the DAW here. As usual, we have our bass pre-recorded. We have our drums pre-programmed. A little bit editing. I'll be honest, I really should go through and edit them more. Some of these kicks are just going to sound like machine guns due to bad automation on my end. We also have some auxiliary instruments. We got some strings in here. We have a music box and a glockenspiel, both used for the intro and then never again for the rest of the song. We're not really going to focus on that too much. Again, the big thing is getting these rhythm guitars recorded and doing these lead guitars. So, for the intro here, it's nothing too crazy in the rhythm guitars. It's just, we're just hanging out on the note D. We're just matching the drums and the bass. Drums and the bass are doing some strong hits. We'll get a little bit of that string in there just for some reference. So that's what's going on for the intro there. Just a couple triplets. We're going to match that with the guitar. One thing that's kind of cool about this one is some of the production choices that are done on the album. It's a great use of expanding the palette and closing it up as needed. For example, these first few hits, from what I was able to discern from listening, keep in mind, I am not a great producer, sounds like they have a single guitar just on these first hits. And then once that the note is held out there, it expands to a wider stereo image with, I quad track it. It's probably just double tracked, but I'm going to quad track it. Something else that I noticed is how dry this first set part is. And that's because there is no reverb on the snare. I think it was a really good choice production wise. You'll just hear the difference once the reverb kicks on, especially when you don't hear anything else besides the drums and bass. Because I mean, this is a wet reverb. So that's fun. Let's go ahead and get these guitars tracked, and then we can look at what the leads are doing. My favorite part. Sorry to disappoint anyone, but we're not doing that section after. We're just doing the rhythm section. So that's, you know what's cool about that is now I do not have to track that anymore. Since that is the only rhythm guitar in that part, my job here is done. So we got our rhythm guitars tracked here. I mean, that was pretty straightforward. There's nothing too crazy. Just a quick burst of speed there. I know I initially said I was going to quad track them. We're not going to quad track this. I don't think it's quad tracked on the album. There is one cool thing I want to talk about real quick. At the very end here, the whole time we've just been chugging. We've just been just chugging and blasting on the note D there. But one thing that's pretty cool when it gets to the like a building section before we end here, we just do a little progression. If you are someone that watches every one of these videos, first off, thank you. But secondly, you'll remember this progression we just talked about last week during Awaken from Death Clock. This is a progression that Brendan Small uses a lot. They're not the first people to do it. They won't be the last people to do it. Basically, what they're doing is they're just trying to find some chromatic motion. And keeping as many notes the same. In this case, we start with a B flat. We go to a G first inversion. So in a G first inversion, the root is G, the third is a B. So you got your B flat to your B right there. Go up to a C major. Then we go to, in this case, instead of going to an A first inversion, which would be, we actually go to a C sharp diminished. By the way, that still allows us to keep our chromatic motion between our C and our C sharp there. So again, we have resolving to a D minor. One of my favorite progressions. You throw that in a song, man, I'm all in. You got me. All right, so let's look at some of this lead stuff here. This is kind of a cool approach to writing leads. Generally, and I'm very guilty of this myself, whenever I'm thinking of harmony, my instant thought is a third or maybe a sixth lower, which is, still a third, obviously. Octaves are still harmony. Like, playing an octave is still playing a harmony. So most of this intro lick is just in octaves between your rhythm guitar and your lead guitar. That's your main melody there. Your lead guitar is just an octave up. What's cool though, there is one part where it does break into, I know I just said it's all harmony, but just bear with me. A spot where it does break into a harmony, which is on the ascending line here. One of your rhythm guitars is just doing a, it's actually an A, not an A flat 9, but an A flat 9. You know what I'm saying? You have your A7 arpeggio. Then you go up to that flat second right there, or your flat 9. In truth, it's probably just, you know, chromatic, just a passing tone. I don't know. I like it. I like to think of it as an A flat 9. So one of your rhythm guitars is doing that A flat 9 with the lead guitar doing that same pattern. However, your other rhythm guitar is just doing just a series of diminished arpeggios. Put it together, it sounds really cool. You get some pretty unexpected harmony. Which, that is one thing I do want to commend Avenged Sevenfold on. Some of their note choices, well, hold on. Let me make sure I say this correctly, because it's not. A lot of they have a unique approach to harmony in that chromaticism trumps everything. If you listen to any solo from Avenged Sevenfold, Synyster Gates is going to put a chromatic run in there somewhere. There's going to be some notes. There's going to be some notes touching. We get some notes touching no matter what solo it is. I can't even think of one that doesn't have some kind of chromatic run. I mean, they all do it. One of my favorites, well, if I can even play it still. I don't know. I posted a video of me doing that one. Go find that and just assume I can do it well. The point is, there's chromatic motion in all of your solos, which allows them to have a unique approach to harmony in that figuring out how do I harmonize this note that does not belong in the key. So you end up with some stuff like this. You know, you have just a diminished arpeggio on top. Pretty cool. Let's get these rhythms tracked here. I call them rhythms. They're really kind of like overdubs, but tomato, tomato. Need a little more leading than that. So on the very tail end of this, the lick changes just a little bit, opens up a little bit more. This one does break into a more traditional harmony. The lead guitar takes a little more of a lead approach, while the other guitars are more, you know, auxiliary rhythm. But the lick just opens up a little bit. There's a chromatic run in the front. Imagine that. So coming off your turnaround to the previous lick. I think that's a pretty cool lick. I think it's a good way to turn it around. And it's done in harmony, which is sick on the other guitar. So we'll take a look at that. Let me get this one tracked correctly, though. All right, that's one lead for the intro. Let's do the other side. I just want to hear what this part sounds like, because I really do like this outro right here. I just think that's such a cool lick. All right, so let's get our lead guitar tracked right there then. I'll be completely honest. During that section, there was a lot of like whammy stuff and a lot of squealing guitars, and man, like I don't want to figure it out. I'm not going to take the time to learn it. That's my truth. There is a little bit of wah applied to this intro lick, so I have that on my guitar here. You'll hear it slightly, a little subtle wah wah. As usual, I'm going for just an auto wah, just our nice little guitar choir here. We'll jump to the end. Because I just think it sounds really cool, and I want to listen to it with my friends. I think these overdub guitars just need a little wetness to them. That is so much better already. Sick. All right, so what we're going to do here, we're going to take a look at the guitar solo where it reprises our intro. One thing that's really nice for me, and y'all know I'm not above copying and pasting, especially in doing something like this. The guitars are the exact same for the intro. So I don't have to re-record those. I just have to record the actual rhythm track. So let's get some rhythms going here. All right, rhythm guitars are tracked here. This is where it starts to get really cool. Start with our main melody again. We reprise that. This time we do it in harmony. Again, speaking to some of the production choices that are on here, the lick happens twice. However, you can tell it's two separate recordings. It's not done on one track. You can hear one guitar slide out while the other one kind of slides in. Smart choice. You know, it's like breaking up vocals between two different layers so that way your vocalist has enough time to get their breath in. You know, essentially that was the idea here. We're not going to do that, but I think that was a smart choice for the album. So one thing I did forget to mention, however, our main melody here, all that is just a blues scale. Like, that's all it is. It's just a blues scale. You just start at the root, go up to your fifth, and just walk it down. That is it. Nothing crazy, but consistent with their theme that Avenged Sevenfold and Synyster Gates loves chromatic motion. And I do too. All right, so what we got here, we have our main melody done in a more traditional harmony. You have your upper guitar part. Then you have your lower part. Both the turnarounds for this are a little different on the second time. Both the turnarounds for these licks are a little different the second time and from every other time that's happened in the song so far. All it is just a quick little diminished arpeggio into a scale run. So one guitar is other one. So it's nothing crazy. Let's go ahead and get our which one are we going to track first? Which one are we feeling? Let's do our lower first, because people probably aren't as familiar with that one, so maybe this will be a new chance to hear something. Nice, a little cleanup. Let's hear what these boys sound like. That's a cool part, man. We are now looking at the solo. This is one of Avenged Sevenfold's most accessible solos, I think. Because to be honest, I don't know how to play this right now. And I'm going to struggle a little bit here or there, but I mean, this one's one of the easier ones. I know some of the main licks right out the gate. I know you get some big chromatic runs a la Synyster Gates. Something like that. Breaking down what I just did there. Or you have a descending line at the top, which is also a very, just that 4-note pattern is a very Avenged Sevenfold sequence. It's done in Scream as well. As with the others, the other solo I tried, go just watch the video of me playing it where I did it correctly, because I also posted that one. Bullshit aside, it's just a descending chromatic run on top with ascending chromatic runs going up to each note. And that lick at the end there, you just have a D minor with some, I guess they're passing tones, I guess would be the proper term. I wouldn't really count them, like analyze them. I think it's just passing tones. But let's record some solos. Not a bad start. After that, we break into a little harmony here. This happens a couple of times in this solo where it starts center guitar focus, breaks off into two ideas, center guitar focus, breaks off into two ideas. A very Avenged Sevenfold, Synyster Gates writing style. Man, what happened to the days of guitar players, of having two lead guitar players, man? I know Zachy Vengeance is the rhythm guitar in the band, I get that. But what happened to the days of just like, hey, we need two guys who can solo? You know, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, hell, I'll give you Slayer. Just two cats that can play the instrument very well. You don't see enough of that anymore, unfortunately. You got one dude who's like, yeah, man, I'm the rhythm guy. And that's what they want to do. And it's like, come on, dog. You have so much more potential. And you're just not even going to, come on. Play some leads. It's a great time. Let's look at what this lick here. It's pretty straightforward. It's just some little arpeggios. But what it leads to is something cool. It's just a D minor arpeggio, but it's done in octaves. Little call and response. So this might be my favorite lick in this solo. I don't know why. The bend just makes it so good. I'm just throwing this out there. If I played an Avenged Sevenfold, and for some reason I had written the exact same solo that Synyster Gates would have, I would have gone down to the major seventh at the end of this line here. I think that's a cool sound, but we'll keep it. We'll play it his way. We'll play it, the guy who wrote it. We'll play it the way he likes it. Nice. This next part of the solo is all harmony. Through the end of the solo, it's all harmony. And it's pretty much just all thirds. I do like this lick here too. Just a very Avenged Sevenfold sound. They just love that major seventh. They just love that harmonic minor sound, and they use it everywhere. And it's an interesting choice, and it's a good choice, because a lot of bands go with the natural minor. Yeah, that major seven pops up in a lot of their stuff.
Hey, just pop it in real quick. I actually don't have an example I can use this time, so you just hear me telling you about it.
Let's do some more recording. is another example of a production the production choices make this lick really pop out. You don't get any weird overlap with the ending of it and the beginning of the next lick. Because I'm stubborn like a pit bull, we are not going to do that. All right, got our first part of our leads recorded here. I just want to hear this lick because I like it a lot. I like a lot of these licks. This is a cool solo. So this next lick here kind of reminds me a little bit of Cowboys from Hell. Just like playing back and forth between a couple of notes. It ends on a sweep. This is probably the hardest lick in the solo. But while this is something I wanted to bring up, Phil Anselmo, man. Like, first off, the guy is a white supremacist. He's shown that time and time again. But secondly, this whole Pantera reunion is just total bullshit. Just pissing on the grave, a little bit of dime. But really, of Vinnie Paul. There are interviews where you can see Vinnie Paul before he passed, and I believe he passed in 2020, rest in peace, where he essentially said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but Pantera isn't Pantera without my brother, and Pantera will not play. Something to that effect. So he said, if you're waiting on you're waiting on a reunion, man, keep dreaming, because it's not going to happen. He says, without Dime, Pantera isn't Pantera. And I 100% agree with that. And that's as someone who's not even particularly a huge Pantera fan. You know, it's kind of hard to be black and a fan of a band that's waving the Confederate flag all the time, but, you know, neither here nor there. Again, Phil Anselmo, fucking racist piece of shit. So the guy who's closest with the guitar player says, we're not playing without my brother. It's not Pantera without Dimebag Darrell. And he's absolutely right. So cut to a few years later, he passes, and now suddenly we're doing Pantera reunions. You know, get fucked, man. Fucking piece of shit. Let's look at this lick here. So this one's particularly challenging. It's really just like at least on this part of it, it's just a B flat major 7 essentially. But you just bounce between your first and your third. You have your flat 5 and your 5th. Then you have your 6 and your major 7. Sorry, you have a sharp 6 and a major 7. Followed by a D minor sweep at the very end. That is a hard lick to nail. And you're probably gonna see a version where I really phoned this one in. But after you do that, you do some more chromatic runs. Shocker, but you do accent that major 7 again. So let's see if I can get this recorded. Well, not only can I get it recorded, but can I also put a harmony on top of it. Whew, that was challenging. That was a very hard lick. You see our timings all over the fucking place. Not a great performance. I can't let that ride. I can do better than that. Damn it. The good news is when I go to record this solo for the playthrough, I'll be able to have one guitar tracked, so that'll make it easier to stay in time. Some kind of silver lining here, because this is not going well. Now that we managed to flub our way through that, we are at the last lick of the solo. least this part's way easier. We'll hear that lick there. Jeez, this solo is kicking my ass. Then finally to end it, we reference our original melody and harmony. It's got a nice fat bend on the end. Let's get this going. That's what I'm talking about. Needed some kind of victory after all that. Let's listen back to it. You know, we don't typically do that on this show because I don't want to. The reason we never play these things back is because I'm not trying to get hit with the copyright strike. I mean, that's really it. We'll listen to it. We'll talk a little bit about it. This part turned out pretty good. This is where it starts to get a little hairy. Let's see what happens. Rushing a little bit, but that's okay. Well done. Beautiful. All right, here we go. Not horrible. Not great, but... For a crash course run on that one, we'll take that. I'd give that performance, if I saw that live, not by Vince Sevenfold, but by a cover band, C+. They lost a lot of points for that one lick in there, but I'd give that a C+, maybe a B-. It really, I guess it all depends on how everything around it is. Like if the whole song is kind of around there, it's like, all right, yeah, you guys got to put that back in the shed. But if the whole rest of the song was pretty tight, save for that one section, it's like, well, understandably, that's the hardest part of the song. I give it a C+. C+, B-.
Okay.
And that'll wrap it up for this week, man. You know, I wanted to do this one. I really, I'm running out of songs that I kind of already know, and I don't want to start repeating artists yet. Like, I still need to do something that from Dream Theater that I haven't done. A friend of mine requested some Symphony X, so we're gonna try to do that. But yeah, man, if you like these kind of videos, you know, we're doing them every week. You know, like, share, comment, all that stuff. It helps grow visibility and helps people find the channel who may also be interested in it. So don't gatekeep this. Don't gatekeep me. I'm not that special. You know, tell your friends. But leave your suggestions, man. You know, something that's got like a ripping solo in there. Then I mean, hey, let's take a look at it. Let's break down. Let's see what's going on there. That's the whole point of this channel. But anyway, man, this is Major and Metal. I'm Major, and we'll see you next time. Peace.